And now the next team, we talked about Shea and the Thunder and how good they've been this season. Well, the Phoenix Suns faced the OKC Thunder recently, and the Suns lost. It was a very close game. They were without Devin Booker. They're currently on a slump. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They dropped 2 to Denver, both that were very close games, and dropped 1 to OKC. Devin Booker has missed the last 2 games. What do you think about the Phoenix Suns? Are you worried about the Phoenix Suns? I'll start with you, Jack.
I'm not necessarily too worried. I think that they're a good team, that their problems are fixable, and I think one of the biggest problems for them is they just can't close out games, and they have not been a very good fourth quarter team at all. I think that's attributable to, one, being a fairly young team that outside of Chris Paul and Jay Crowder doesn't have much playoff experience, doesn't have much experience closing out close games down the stretch, and that's a big thing. They've been dealing with some injuries too. I know a couple guys have missed time here and there. And another thing is their depth is not great at all, and it showed. They really go 8 deep, and beyond that, I mean, they don't have much beyond that. So especially late in games, you're relying on your starters to play 35 minutes. It's been tough for them in the fourth quarter. I know in the fourth quarter they're shooting the ball. They're attempting 8 threes per quarter in the fourth quarter and just going quarter by quarter. First quarter, they shoot around 40% from 3. Second quarter, around 37%. Third quarter, around 40%. And then the fourth quarter, it drops down to 26%. So, and that's 29th in the league percentage-wise. So that's just not sustainable. I think they are a good team, and they're in basketball games. I feel like every time I watch them, they're in a close game, but they just can't close that out at the end. So I think it's a fixable problem. But I would like to see them go out and make a move at the deadline maybe and get some more depth in. I think that would help.
I mean, for me, we said it on draft day, Jack. I mean, we've said this on draft day. And I think Riv was here for it too, but I think mainly it was Jack and I because we made a segment about it as well. That the teams that lost the draft were the Phoenix Suns because they drafted Jalen Smith, who I'm not denying his potential. He's a 6'10", stretch big. Hopefully he figures it out. But right now, Tyrese Halliburton is a better player, and I'd go as far to say that he projects to be a better player as well. Right now, the Suns are off the bench. Their guards are off the bench. They have Cameron Payne, Langston Galloway, and Javon Carter. I like all 3 of them. They're not bad players, but they're all undersized. They don't have a real legit 2-guard coming off the bench. Tyrese Halliburton would have been perfect. You see in Sacramento right now, he plays alongside Corey Joseph off the bench perfectly. Tyrese Halliburton could have played a 2-guard-like role with Cameron Payne coming off the bench, with Cameron Johnson coming off the bench with them, and Saric, and sometimes Kaminsky. They would have been fine. But instead, they chose to draft Jalen Smith, and that was such a mistake. It was a mistake, and I'm going to say this. I'm not worried about the Suns. I picked them to make the playoffs. I think they'll still make the playoffs. They'll find a way to finish out these games very soon. They're still a team that's trying to mesh together. You add in Jay Crowder and Chris Paul. Mikal Bridges takes a leap in scoring. But for me, I want to see more out of Devin Booker. You know, that's my thing. I want to see more out of Devin Booker. These past couple of years, he scored a lot of points. The Suns lost. This year, his scoring average is down by 3 points. With a true point guard like Chris Paul, you expect those numbers to be up. And I get that, you know, that's asking a lot of Booker, but I personally feel like Booker can be a 28 points per game scorer in the NBA. And to this point, there are times where I see the Suns and he's passive. I want to see Booker take over. I want to see what I saw from him in that 8-game stretch in the bubble. I want to see more out of Devin Booker, and as of recently, I have not seen that.
And I wasn't as high as you guys on the Phoenix Suns. I thought they could get in. You guys were pretty locked in on them getting in. But I haven't been impressed with Chris Paul this year. I feel like he's been kind of playing under – he has been under the water. He hasn't been playing like I thought he was going to play. But at the same time, Joel, you hit it on the nail. Devin Booker hasn't made that leap that we thought he was going to make that leap. You know, he walked into the bubble, the team went A&0. He had great performance after great performance after great performance. And people were talking about, all right, this is the year. They got Chris Paul. this is the year where Devin Booker is going to take the leap. And you would think with Chris Paul being the primary ball handler, even with Cameron Payne and Javon Carter coming in, you would think Devin Booker would kind of take the back seat to playmaking and become more of that threat offensively. But fourth quarters, they just haven't been able to get it done. It's just, you can tell this team is very young and inexperienced. They make a lot of bad mistakes in the fourth quarter. And then you look at this team, I think another problem that's really killing me is they're second in free throw percentage, but they're 29th in free throws attempts and 27th in free throws. They don't get to the line enough, and I think that in the fourth quarter, that is something you need to do. You need to be able to get to the line, get these easy free throws so you can get points on the board, and I think that's going to affect them down the line. But I think it's early. This is a young team. I think Chris Paul is going to rally the troops. He is that type of guy. We saw it in OKC, and I think this team with Devin Booker, Michael Bridges, and Cameron Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton, they're just going to learn and learn and learn. They have the pieces. They just have to put together key performances and finish off games in the fourth quarter.
This is what I'll say. Chris Paul right now is shooting 29% from three. So he is not shot to his average. Yeah, he is not shot to what he used to average in terms of three-point percentage. I think that's going to go up, no doubt about it.
Too.
But Monty Williams has yet to find a way, has yet to look for a way to get DeAndre Ayton involved consistently. Ayton has been elite defensively this season, but offensively, he has not been that assertive, and they have not gave him the ball enough. See, getting Chris Paul, I thought not only Devin Booker was going to take a huge leap, but I thought that DeAndre Ayton was going to take a huge leap in terms of scoring 20 and 13 a game. I thought he was going to be that type of player. I'm still waiting on that. Maybe they have to find a way to get it all clicking and going together because, to be honest, I'm fine with Booker averaging 23 if Ayton is right behind him. But I don't think that Chris Paul should be the second leading scorer on this team. Like I personally feel like it should be Booker, Ayton, and then Paul.
I think Bridges should be ahead of Paul, honestly.
I mean, it's close.
Yeah, I don't think Chris Paul I think he should be around the 16 points per game. I think with Michael Bridges, I'm expecting a little too much. His shot attempts, he kind of takes just threes or open jump shots. He's not that guy where he's going to create yet. He's not there yet. But you're correct. DeAndre Ayton has to get touches in the paint. He has to become more assertive. And I think Monty Williams definitely has to find a way to micromanage DeAndre Ayton. I think we see a lot of Devin Booker and Chris Paul with the ball a lot. I think they should definitely, instead of just lobs to DeAndre Ayton and once in a blue moon, I think he should definitely get a few ISO plays in the game to assert his dominance and get that inside-outside game.
And this is the problem with the way that the Suns went in this draft, right? Because we see the Nets that they staggered minutes between Harden, KD, and Kyrie. The Suns should be doing the same. When you have all of them starting together like Booker, Chris Paul, and Ayton, if they would have drafted Halliburton, you can have Hallie and Booker out there together and Chris Paul on the bench. Or you can have Hallie and Ayton out there, and they could do their thing. Right now, off the bench, you got Cameron Payne, who's a scoring guard. Langston Galloway, a scorer. Javon Carter, a scorer. These aren't facilitators and playmakers. They can do it, but not to the level as a Halliburton. Right now, there's a list of players that, most added points offensively towards their teams as rookies. Halliburton is beating everybody by, a large margin. He is running away in that category, and defensively, he's very, very good. We said it at the moment. They whiffed on it. Yeah. The Suns, before Chris Paul came and before Rubio was there, they were always looking for a point guard of the future.
This could have been
that 11th pick, they had two staring in their faces, Kira Lewis and Tyrese Halliburton. And, of course, now knowing what we know, I saw a fly in front of me.
Yeah, it's been.
Now knowing what we know, Tyrese Halliburton should have been that pick because he's second in Rookie of the Year race, and I think they whiffed on it. And we said it that day. Chris Paul's not going to be there for 4 or 5 years. He's going to be there for 2 years max. So you needed that guy. If Halliburton would have learned under Chris Paul, he could have probably even been better than what he is now.
Yeah, and Smith is. I don't think he's ever going to surpass DeAndre Ayton, so I don't see the fit for him. I mean,
they had
can he play the 4 next to
if
DeAndre
Johnson
Ayton?
Playing the 4?
I don't see where he fits at all unless they plan on letting DeAndre Ayton walk at some point have they extended him yet? I mean, I don't think they would let him walk in any universe, but in no way does that pick make sense. And we were just as stunned on draft night, like you said. But I will say for DeAndre Ayton, his big problem has been consistency. Like, he can't find that consistency. He's been really good over the last, 4 or 5 games, but he started the season really poorly. So it's like, can he find that consistent play? That's been the problem with DeAndre Ayton now, and problem for him last year was missing the first 20 games because of the PED suspension. So can he find that consistent play and not even be an elite big man, but just be a consistently very good big man? That's all they need him to be, and he hasn't been that all season long, and it's been pretty disappointing. So can he consistently play the way he has over the last 5 games? If he can do that, I think the Suns will be very happy with that production.
And we'll see what happens, but hopefully they find a way to implement DeAndre Ayton more into the offense, and Devin Booker takes that next leap that we're waiting on him to take. Because for the past couple of years, everybody's been talking about Devin Booker, underrated. Now he has a great team, or a really, really good team. So now stand out, stand amongst the crowd and show that you're that type of player, that caliber of player.